yesterday, and I didn't know you could. When's the last time you knew how to? Have your days gotten better of getting on and off an internet or a computer or a website? Talk to me, man. Does that work?
Okay, I grew up with 3 channels, black and white. Okay, I was the clicker. So the dial phone, children weren't allowed to use. They couldn't even use a dial phone.
Yeah, no, I remember those days.
This stuff, serious. You push one button wrong, it takes you to a place you ain't got no idea how to get back.
No, I see those things in the background. I don't know those kill shots you have in that living room you're in, but your game had to change. I gotta imagine. I gotta start this thing going. Rob, okay, Ed Croson, Denny Barrett. This is the episode's called the podcast is called Swing Hard in case you hit it. A little tailor on that, like in life. Hey, man, if you're gonna go, man, go. Don't slow this off. So we get a chance to interview or meet guys. I've had the great Rex Ryan, former coach of the Jets. We've had Mark Sanchez. Yeah, we've had Mark Sanchez, the QB. We've had Mike Tannenbaum, but nobody has the accolades that Ed Croson has. Not a chance.
Small pond. Mark Sanchez, I coached the Cal Florida game in 2004, and Mark was our quarterback.
Wow.
And I took my son, he was an 8th grader, and I says, all you're going to do is follow around the quarterbacks and do whatever they ask you to do. They want you to go get something, go get it, and hang around. Okay, so they became friends. And then when Mark was at SC, me and Maury would go down to their spring practices and stuff, and Mark would always come over and take time with them. Wow. Just what a great, solid guy.
And I'll tell you, I got him through a third party, and he said, Mark, he called him ESPN analyst. I mean, he's a dude now. He's a guy.
Yeah.
But to listen to him, and by the way, his background, like on Zoom, it's got all the shit, man. He's got it all back there. Okay. I mean, I think I still have it. I got my one bobblehead that I have right here. That's all I got. And that's all I need right now. Until you get a bobblehead, then you've made it, but
there you go.
What a great guy. What a great guy. Yeah. And to hear him talk about the players today and to talk about athletes. And I had no idea. When you get a quarterback, now Maury was a quarterback, your son Maury, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How tough was it, father-son coaching? I'm jumping ahead of by the way, we got 7 hours together to review notes. As a father and a son, I remember Maury, when I was your assistant coach, I was a special team coach, obviously in Chaminade back in 95, I think it was, or 96. Little Maury be running around the field. He'd running around the field.
Yeah.
And how tough is it later on as he's grown up to be a coach of your prestige and your legendary, it says it in there, the legendary Ed Croson. Yeah. Is it tough to coach your own kid? I know you're shaking your head, my friend. And I say this, a lot of it's tongue in cheek, but I'll tell you, it is the truth. It's just the truth. You don't know you're a legend. Legends aren't just, hey man, my name is Denny Barrett, call me legend. And I know it's a word that we don't like as coaches, but your success, and as I'm doing all the talking here, let me go over the success first, Rob. Okay. And then
It's impressive.
Then I'll take it from there. But you're at Chaminade as the AD in 98. And I'm going to read this. You were at Chaminade. Hold on, Eddie, because we can edit this out, but I want to make sure. Ed Croson, from 93 to 98, athletic director at Chaminade High School. That's where you hired me as your baseball coach. Probably the worst mistake in your career. But
listen, I'm going to stop you real quick. Okay, you, first of all, built an amazing program. Then right when you had all the ducks on the pond, you took a college job. The guy that followed you was a good guy, but he wasn't your level of baseball coach. They went 29-2 with your kids. Yeah. That's the best team in the history of the school still to this day.
Yes. I never got any recognition for that, coach. You were the AD there, and I'm still a little bitter about it. I can handle it, though. I can handle it because
the kids cried when you left. I mean, those were your guys, and he just fell into that. And
this world of coaching is about relationships. And we go back, Ed Croson, you were a coach of mine back in high school. You were just a young whippersnapper, I had no idea who you were or what you did, but the relationship I had with you, the way you would communicate with myself, and I wasn't your main guy. I was just a guy. you coach 45 guys out there, and this is why you're important for this podcast. You put 83 guys, first of all, in college football. If that's what it says, probably more than that. They're not counting junior colleges. We know that. They're going Division I, Division II, Division III. It says 83 players. They don't mention NAIA. They don't mention JC, junior colleges. And that bothers me a little bit because I was a JC NAIA guy. They
don't mention all the NFL guys I had at Birmingham.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I can't believe, and that's why you won 4 state championships there at Birmingham. Am I correct? I mean, you had players, but God dang it, man. Let me hold on here, Rob. I got to slow down.
Yeah, just slow down.
I got producer Rob sitting next to me, Ed. It's so, and they're going to edit this part out. It's so goddamn good to see you, man. It's so good to see
you too. You look great. I'm shaving my head. Looking at you, I'm shaving my
head. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's really not shaved. What it is losing it, and I got to do something else because if I had a little bit of what you had, man, I'd be in good shape. How's the wife and kids? How's everybody doing? Everybody healthy?
Good. Everybody's good. Yeah, kids are growing up. Maury's busy all the time. His business is going pretty good.
What's Maury's business? What's he doing?
He does markerless motion capture, and he does kinetics for sprint and quarterbacks.
Wow.
And you ever seen the suits they put on with the dots they move around? And the markerless motion capture is the next generation of that. It's a lot more sophisticated, so they can tell where there's asymmetries. So if you have a compensation, you sprain your ankle, you hobble around, it changes the way your muscles move. So prime movers can become assisters. Assisters can become balancers. Balancers can become prime movers. And this will end up manifesting itself in injury. So his business is to identify where your compensations are based on what's happened to you in your past and resolve those, especially for quarterbacks and things like that. The sprint stuff he does a lot of YouTube stuff because of COVID. He had to go to that. Yeah. And he works with the sprinters. He had some guys about 8 months ago call him from Kenya, coaches, and they wanted him to evaluate their guy. So he started working with them on the 100. It was a 26-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks ago, his name is Ferdinand Amanyala or something like that. He ran the fastest time in the world, 9:85 in 100 meters. Beat our guy that won the silver medal in the last Olympics. So it's kind of new age stuff that he's into. So it hasn't really caught on yet, but it's starting to.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, that I'm surprised that kid wasn't already playing at Chaminade the last 4 years. No way you recruit kids and get him in there. I think Ferdinand Amanyala would be a freshman at Chaminade next year. And
he speaks English. I don't know if he can read Gulag Archipelago in Russian, but he does speak English.
If he understands 4-6 pitch, that's all he needs to know, right, Ed?
2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 5, 7, 9. What else is
that? That's it.
To the right or to the left?
To the right or left. Just go to the right. I've never enjoyed. I mean, I'm nervous talking to you, man. I got to tell you, and the reason why is because a guy. You were so kind. You're so kind. I know why the relationship you have with the players and why they've gone on to be so successful. It's because of the relationships we build with these young athletes, I assume. Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that's the most important part of what we do, especially in high school, is helping kids negotiate life and then being there for them. I mean, I'm going fishing in August with a guy coached in 1978. We were together in 1980. We're still friends.
Yeah.
This is the real treasure of your life, is those relationships. And
you remember
and that's when I be myself and people are somehow offended. I have to tell them that I have plenty of friends.
Yes.
And,
yes.
You don't really need to be one of them.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. And that's not an insult.
No.
It's not an insult. No is an answer.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly right. I found out that no is a full answer. I found out late in my career. I used to try to bullshit guys and go, hey, Dada, the truth is, hey, coach, can my son play in your team? No. I remember at Chaminade, I remember a lady coming to me. I won't mention names, but her son was hitting ninth. All my experience, by the way, coach, you hired me at Chaminade High School for my very first head coaching position in high school. I was 30 years old, 31 or something like that. And I remember back, I've had a chance now to look in the rearview mirror to say, okay, who were some important mentors in your life? What and why? And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I remember going some experiences. Well, getting hired at Chaminade, getting hired from Ed Croson, who was the AD then? Ed Croson. Whoa, you mean Ed the football coach? Oh yeah, Ed was an AD. It was an AD. He drove a van. What was that van, man? What do you call that thing?
It was a 75 combi. It was a Volkswagen van.
and you painted it when you're at Notre Dame. You painted it blue and gold.
Yeah.
And then you got the job at Chaminade, but it was still blue and gold.
I painted it in the garage of my buddy's apartment with spray cans.
I swear.
I could afford it at the time.
When that showed up, how did you know, Ed, as a young coach, man? You started at Southern Utah State, is that right?
Well, I coached at St. Genevieve, and then Notre Dame, of course, with you, and then went to Pierce College, and then went to Southern Utah State after that.
Okay, because they got to fix that. In there, they have you at Southern Utah, and then they have you at it went on and on. Southern Utah, LA Pierce, Notre Dame High School, St. Jen's, and then Chaminade, something in that area. Yeah. How did you know you're going to stay in this thing? You were married, you're young, you're married, you have kids coming up, the wife, a beautiful wife. And I know she's a tough one, man. She's going to let you know she probably ran the offense in that house and you had to run the defense. That's all I'm going to say.
She runs everything in the house. I defer. Yeah, that's not my area of expertise. Now, the things on the wall, that's different. I don't really love to kill them, but I love to eat them. And if you want to eat wild game, you have to go out and get it.
Yeah, you do. I've never done it. When I was at Lewis Clark State College, some guys lived in, there's Lewiston and Clarkston on the border of the Snake River and the Clearwater. And a guy like you would have really appreciated it. A guy coming from, Toluca Lake, California, going out there playing ball. But they went out to go hunting one afternoon. They said, Barrett, come with us, man. Come on with us. I said, sure. We're going to go on horseback. Now, the horse has only been broken about 10 weeks. These are 10-week broken horses. Soton, Washington. You can look it up. Small town. The guy owned. We went out deer hunting and they found one. There was a flock of them, whatever, and they were doing it all right. And I had a rifle with me, but they said, "Okay, get off the horse. You got to be quiet. Those things can hear. Those deer can hear from a long way." And I'm speaking, and I remember they popped off, and I popped off mine, but my foot got caught in the stirrup there. It got caught, and the guy's trying to shoot. And he's looking up at me, and he's laughing. I can't get. He shot the son of a bitch, and the horse jumped a little bit. And bad deal, man. Then you go out there and this is the Ed Croson podcast, but I'm going to talk a little bit here and I'm almost done, Ed, because I want to get to you. But I remember going out there that he got it. And then they gut it right out there. They clean it out right there. But the first thing you cut is the scrotum. You cut the male, you start there.
You have to get the urine out of there, the bladder. That's got to go.
So he cut that off and tossed it. He says, "Hey, Bear, hold on to that." I didn't know what they're doing. And I held those things in my pocket for about the 4 hours of hunting. And we finally get back to the truck and they laid the thing out there and, you got to cover it because bugs and stuff, you got to do it. But I finally said, "Hey man, hey, Dale Bonfield, I hope you're listening to this." He was a catcher. "Hey, Bonnie, what do you want to do with this?" And they couldn't stop laughing for the next 3 hours. Bear was holding the deer's, sack for the last 4 hours. And that's my experience. So
we used to take those and skin them and put them over our gear shifter. And then when girls would get in the car, they go, "Oh, that is so nice. What is that?"
My balls. There you go, honey. We'll talk about this later, but that's it.
I'm from Bakersfield, so different thing turn you on if you're from a different type of
absolutely.
World. Yeah.
And where'd you go to high school in Bakersfield then? Where'd you go to high school?
Highland. It was a brand new school when I went there.
Yeah, I remember coaching at Garces, playing Highland, really close by. We're both Garces. And by the way, people will kind of make fun of Bakersfield from down here. I had the best 12 years of my experience raising my kids up in Bakersfield, man. It's a good little town.
Yeah, solid people, salt of the earth, just horrible weather.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the odor of coming down off that grapevine, you're going to hit it early, and then you just got to accept it.
It grows on you.
It does. So the reason, Ed, you're here is talk to me about how do you build these young kids, these young athletes that you see today? Is it changing? You just mentioned Maury, what Maury's doing. Is it changing from when I coached with you in the 80s or when you coached in the 70s to these young kids today in the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s?
Well, yes. I mean, it's definitely changed. I'll give an example. I started coaching in 1978. I worked for a guy named Lyndon Crow, who played
Oh,
on the 58 Giants and played at USC. He was a great mentor. And in those days, we swatted the kids. You know, if they do, there
right.
were swattable offenses, so we
Yeah.
could hit you. And Lyndon smoked cigarettes in the locker room.
Right.
These are things that you'd probably be in jail for
Yep.
today.
Yep.
There was a different, grit.
Mm.
And so the modern athlete is influenced so much by social media and, all the stimulation that's in the air and in their telephone that it's a little bit more of an adjustment. Now, if they come from a family that's had discipline, as they grew up, then we don't have to be the cop. But, I had a kid a couple years ago, to give an example. He threw a temper tantrum in a game, threw a punch on right in front of it's against Sarah on their sideline in front of three coaches and the official. And yeah. And so, that to me, when you express third grade behavior,
Yep.
I'm going to feel like I'm obligated to fix that. To the parents, I tell them in the parent meeting that if you don't fix that, I will, and you won't like the way I fix it. And they didn't like the way I fix it. And so for me, I owe it to the kid. I'm going to tell them the truth. It's a school. And if they can't take the truth, they got to suck it up and live with it, or change.
Right.
And now the people that are coming up into administration and teaching have been brainwashed to think that the most important feeling or thing is how someone feels.
I get it.
I'm sorry for not giving a poop about your feelings.
Right.
And you won't thank me today. I wish I had a nickel for every kid that left the program mad and 5 years later or 10 years later, hugged me and said, thank you, for drawing the hard line on me and giving me that. So we coach the way we coach, we teach the way we teach. I had a kid a few years ago said, the dad came to me and says, our personal trainer doesn't believe in squatting. And he already had an offer from the University of Arizona. And I said, well, then you have to find a school that doesn't squat because we squat here. And he left and then still went to Arizona and crapped out and ended up at USD, which is a great school, but not the same level of football. So we try to get parents to let us help their kid and for them to just, support them and say, hey, ask the coach what you have to do to play or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if they, if they're they're lawnmower parents now, they pave the way. But
Yeah.
for us, we deal with risk-taking males only. And so I'm in a completely different boat because the guys I deal with is maybe 10% or 15% of the male population. And they derive pleasure out of running into the other person full speed. That's not everybody. So it's a unique individual. So I treat them uniquely like they are. So I have very high expectations because these people are people with the potential for great good and also the potential for great bad because they're risk takers and they're physical and they're not afraid. And
Yeah.
so I talk to them in a way that they need to learn how to understand, and which for the most part they do. And if not, when they leave, they look back and say, "I understand the value now." So that, and it's
Ed, when you talk like this, if you're today's, and again, I'm an Ed Croson follower. I just am. We were cut from the same mold. I hate even to put myself in your shoes, but one thing I remember coaching with you, the way you're talking when you say treating these men, feelings aren't facts. That's what I found out. My dad told me that. Hey man, I don't care if you feel like a piece of garbage. Doesn't mean you're a piece of garbage. If you feel this, feelings are not facts. But when you coach out there, you coach the way you're talking right now. You don't have to cuss and swear. And man, I know that you're not a cussing or a swearing guy. You're just not. Now, I've seen you correct kids. I've seen you get in these guys when they act like third grade behavior. You correct it. The thing I'm hearing you is it's okay to correct parents. It's okay to correct these kids. And like you said, if I had a nickel for every guy that came back to me and said, hey, Barrett, thank you very much. I played for Ed Sheff, a guy in Lewiston, Idaho, who when I was done playing with him, I was done saying I will never play for that guy again. And what ends up happening is I go be his assistant coach in Lewiston. 14 years later, I'm with him in Alaska. He is my number one guy. But I wonder why, where it started, and maybe you know a time when you where it started, where it's not okay to be honest, to be and to correct a kid for his behavior or for his playing. If a kid, not everyone can play running back. In my sport, everybody wants to pitch and play short. I mean, you can't do it. You just can't do it. I told a parent at Chaminade, the reason why you're hitting ninth because there's no 10th. And now that may be a little sarcasm, but how else are you going to say it right there? You know, give me an example of a parent conversation you've had, Ed, one that shocked you between 80s and 2000. There's got to be multiple ones out there. I got to imagine.
Yeah, there's multiple ones. You know, I have a sign on my grease board behind my desk that says, change the behavior that makes you dislike him. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Huh. In the workplace and in society, you're going to benefit from people liking you. You have to fit in. And so, you know, especially if you're selling something, everybody's got to be your friend. And so for us, we have, you know, if there's rough edges, we feel like we got to smooth those out to make this kid likable. I've had kids that lied all the time. And mm-hmm. I had one that when he was a senior and the season was over, I says, look, you're a liar. And everybody knows you're a liar. But you're going to go to college and there's going to be all new people. And you don't have to live your life as a liar. You can live in the truth. Yeah. I had a kid one time that it was a kicker. He's at Harvard now, and parents, both high profile lawyers. And he wouldn't ever do the water, and that's the kicker's job because he was too good. And
right, of course.
So I was direct with him.
Yeah. Yes.
And I told him he's a cancer, and the mom felt bad about that. She was used to getting her own way. And sorry, I got two dogs, and they're not supposed to be.
You can handle players, but you can't handle your flipping dogs in the background. But go ahead.
No, Coach. They're good. The dogs run the place. When I come back, I want to be my dog. That's my goal. So I get into the meeting with this lady. She's probably in about $3,000 worth of clothes. She has probably a $500 sweater on. I mean, and the dad's all, you know, in the suit and the whole thing.
Sure.
And she starts to go off on me. And the first thing, she drops an F-bomb. And whenever
I know
people, especially women, drop an F-bomb, I always say the exact same thing. I'm glad you said that. Because now I feel like I can talk to you. You know? Anyway, everybody left mad. The kid ended up changing.
Yeah.
And doing what we asked. The kid ended up going on and is the kicker at Harvard. And I'm great friends with the parents. I went to a big awards night with them one time. We had a great time. The kid comes back and has the whole time. So I talk to him every once in a while. And I've just had so many of those like that. We had a kid that was very wealthy, had 4 sisters and a mom. Dad worked all the time. So he was in a different environment than risk-taking males all the time. And he always had a comeback, always had an answer, always had a reason why I was wrong. He's 15.
Yeah.
I made him cry 4 times in his sophomore year. And if you cry with me, you don't handle it well.
No, I know. Yeah.
I'm a shark with blood in the water. So I people have to pull me off. I had a coach who would follow me around and say, let it go, coach. And that let it go was my trigger to say, okay, enough is enough. And to make a long story short, I had a 30-minute conversation with him last week. He was a graduated with 2 degrees from Johns Hopkins as a junior and threw for 3,800 yards last year at the same time.
Really?
So he still has 2 years left. And his parents wanted him to leave. His friends wanted him to leave. And the dad called me, and this is a guy that's a very wealthy guy, said, Coach, if he doesn't start in the next game, there's going to be a problem. And I says, well, I understand you have to do what you got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do. And it's not going to have anything to do with what you think. Right. And I don't think he was used to being told that. And I was trying to be as nice as I could, but also honest. And but the kid wouldn't leave. The kid says, I'm fine.
That's
Kid
it.
ended up starting the 8th game, and then beat then game 11 beat Long Beach Poly at the vet in running time, which is the only time. And a guy told me after the game, the announcer says, "I've been following them for 40 years. They've never been beaten running time." And
Wow.
and, and,
Wow.
and then on to Johns Hopkins because they're only 6'2" or 6 foot, and he
Yeah.
had 4.3 whatever grade point average. So
Running
I've just
time,
had
just so
enough of those instances where people left mad or were mad and later saw the value in the truth, and that it,
but that's something that you see in old school. I remember telling Rex Ryan, Rex, you're an old school guy. You watched in the YouTube on Rex Ryan. He's great. You remind me a lot of him on how you're out there talking amongst the boys. You're out there talking amongst
yeah.
and to watch. I see so many similarities. The players love to play for Rex Ryan. They love to play for you. I know as your assistant coach for 1 year, you and the great Richie Lawson, and you were the D coordinator at the time, and Ed let me be this not Ed, but Richie said, "Go ahead and be the special teams coach." And I wasn't very good at that. I got you. You kind of took over at times. You're very kind. Said, "Denny, I got this." I mean, you guys would have those mics on, and then there would be me, and I'm thinking, am I involved in any of your conversations? I think I heard you say, "I'll handle him," and I think you were talking about me. Like, stay away, stay away.
I don't know.
Two guys are on the water. It was a kicker, and it was me. I know that. I was, but I wore the Chaminade shirt. What are the similarities, Ed, between the Chaminade players and the Birmingham? Now, you won 4 state titles at Birmingham High School. Prior to that, Birmingham wasn't very strong. One thing you've done, I did the same thing at Glendale, where what do you do? What does a communicator do, a coach do, that changes the culture of going 2-8 the year before? You took over 2 programs that weren't highly, they weren't just solid teams. They didn't have the reputation that a Long Beach Poly had or that a St. John Bosco had. Yet next thing you know, Chaminade High School now is amongst the decade of it, and won the decade of the team from 09 to 19. You guys were top. I don't know what you freaking call it though. The top team in the decade of 2009, 2019. Chaminade High. This is Chaminade. You know where Chaminade is, Ed? Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a little league baseball, varsity baseball field. They got a football field. It's all blue out there. I think it's ugly as hell. I hope you weren't responsible for that decision making right there.
I was.
You were. Yeah. It's the Boise State looking at that thing to see that go on. Yeah. But how do you turn a program around from where Birmingham was with those athletes that are different from the Chaminade program with those athletes?
Yeah. The Birmingham, it was 4 city titles.
I'm sorry.
In those days, there was only state.
You're right.
Chaminade, we were in the Max Preps all decade top 20.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
you can interrupt me at any time, coach, at any time.
Good.
Okay.
You're good. So we were number 17, which is, overall for 10 years, and we played St. John Bosco, Folsom. Yeah, I mean, you name it. Corona Centennial twice.
Right.
Corona Centennial brings 5 buses.
I know.
At halftime, their 3rd and 4th string is scrimmaging on the practice field because they know they're playing. So they're warming up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. But
the key is convincing. The key, though, is having the experience that you have and making these players believe, hey, man, we're okay. We're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine. Whatever that talk you have or the preparation you have to face these schools.
I think one thing is that the kids got to know that you're working for them. And I think if you work hard and you're organized and you have a plan, and then I think the kids will follow. Another thing is I think, there's a difference between a coach and a critic. A critic is going to look at what you just did wrong and tell you what you just did wrong. They're not going to tell you what to do right. Coach will teach you what to do right. He'll construct drills that chunk it down and make it so there's a learning progression so that it doesn't matter what the coach knows. It matters what the player can do. So I think when kids aren't being, I'll give an example, overhead squat. If you're teaching overhead squat, heels are going to come off the ground. And so you can yell at them, keep your feet flat, keep your feet flat, keep your feet flat. Or don't lift your heels up. That's a critic.
Right.
But if you don't change their ankle mobility, they won't have the ability to keep their feet flat. So if you're a coach, you're going to you're going to do some ankle mobility exercises before you get into the overhead squat so that they have the ability to make their feet flat. So I think those kind of things, and having a drill progression, I think keeping your practices moving. We never have a practice over 2 hours.
Right.
Our conditioning is a 10-minute, 24 play hurry up segment. So we're not out there running cross country. They're not cross country players. We're only football. We post stretch. We feed them a small snack right after the workout so that their blood environment has stable blood sugar, so that the growth hormone they create hits its target cell and they recover faster. We try to be upbeat and positive. Early in the week, we're honest. Later in the week, we lie to them if we have to make them feel good on the day-to-day play.
Yeah.
So that if
I hear you talk, and God, you're a brilliant man. You're a smart man. No, I know.
You just know you turn the cantaloupe patch. I'm just a regular guy who works hard. That's it.
You know what though, man? Your detail work is and I remember seeing that. The reputation Ed Croson has out there. Well, that's a Croson club. That's a Croson club. You got to have the talent though, but there's no way your lineman. I would see your linemen. I think they were 5'2", maybe 240. All right, across the board. All right, I don't know. And I'm not making fun of the Chaminade linemen. Trust me, but I know the guys you're lined up against on the other side. How do you convince a kid? Because basically, it's when he goes to that line, and it's whatever Maury calls, whatever that play's called. All right, 46 pitch,
36 pitch, yeah.
On one, ready break. Okay, so they get to clap, they come down, it's all great. But as he's approaching, he's looking at the guy across from him, who's about 6'3", 260, and you're going, how in the world? I mean, so there's some details in there as a coach that you got to recognize, say, here's what you have to do, and make the kid believe that it's going to work if you do it this way. Am I right?
Yeah, there's a few things. One, we schedule up, I learned the hard way, to make the preseason, try to play the toughest team you're going to play in the preseason where it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
And because you take some of your opponent away with you when you leave. We lost Long Beach Poly one year, real bad down there, and at the end we won the city title that year. And at the end of the season, the kids told me we were never intimidated after that. Now, when we played them in the playoffs, okay, so sometimes it is a little bit of smoke and mirrors, and so but we want the kids to be able to handle losing too. So I try to schedule in some losses on purpose. Parents say,
wow,
why do you use disparaging language? What does that mean, disparaging? First of all, disparaging is part of life. If you don't believe that, wait till you get married. There'll be times when it's disparaging.
Well said.
So you need to learn how to live with disparaging too. When you numb the dark, you also numb the light. And I have faith in that. So it's easy for me to do it because I think that's what's right. And so people think I'm callous or insensitive.
No.
Oh, okay, maybe so. But in 20 years, you call me, you got a problem, I'm going to answer the call. And you're going to find out that this guy's got my back. And exactly. I think that's important stuff. But yeah, we have been up against it a few times. We played Long Beach Poly when I was telling you about. We beat them in running time, and I've been to the vet. Excuse me, and so I know how it is there. The locker room's right next to each other.
Yeah,
and you tape in the foyer. So we did all the varsity guys first there in the locker room. So I had all the guys that we brought up from the JVs in there getting tape when Long Beach Poly started to walk in. They got all these 5-star guys. These guys look like 6 years old. And I seen one of them walk by and look at and this a bunch of little guys look like lacrosse players. And one guy just turned just like that. So they didn't realize the real guys were in the locker room. But, exactly. Just to try to set them up. So I don't know. I think.
But Ed, consistently across the board, one thing you'd have to worry about, I assume, is injury. Not because you're playing. These guys got to show up that day, and you may have 5 deep, or 1 deep. You got 5 linemen and 2 backup linemen. I'm not sure, but those guys, like you just said about Centennial, and I've seen these teams, man. I've seen them on the. I'm a big football fan. I don't know a damn thing, man. I was the JV head coach at Maricopa High School, 8-man football. We went 8-0. I had one guy, Adam Billingsley. I gave him the ball and he just ran, and he ran about 60 times, but we always won. And it was my only head coaching experience was Maricopa High. You know where Maricopa is, up there next to Bakersfield. Oh yeah. 8-man. And they picked me up. The problem with only 8-man football, they gather around before to have that intimidating, and there's only 11 guys. So you don't create that, oh my God, look who's coming out here, So I enjoyed it. If you did, what do you call those, Oklahomas, you had 6 and 5, and 2 guys can only go against each other. You couldn't have the other guys going against, But how do you prevent injury, and how do you prepare or prevent for injury, Ed, as a guy who's been around a long time?
I worked for many years with the East Germans. You remember Stefan? Was he
Absolutely
there at the time?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so they were ahead of us in exercise science, and he came from the Olympic Center in Leipzig, East Germany, before the wall came down. He came over when the wall came down. So there was a lot of stuff about, when to earn fitness and when to spend fitness. So if we're playing a weak opponent before a strong opponent, we might be on our feet 7.5 hours against a weak opponent. So, and we tell the kids, you're going to have to play left-handed because you're going to play tired because we've got a big game next week. We don't lie to them. We tell them the truth. We're going to win this game. And some coaches will try to buff up a weak opponent, and the kids are going, yeah, coach, we're killing them.
Yeah.
So anyway, and so there have been times we've had a narrow victory against a poor opponent, but then beat a better opponent that's weak. So we do that. We do with the markerless motion capture that my son does. He did all of our strength. The Performance Lab of California did all of our strength, and they do. We evaluated the guys 3 times a year, find out what their asymmetries are. They get their own individual correctives. They do those before we start every day, just to activate muscles that aren't firing right in a progression. And then with that, there's all kind of stabilizers and balancers and all kind of funky stuff that we didn't have when I was a kid that really makes a difference. We try to use all of our players, even if it's in minor roles, and develop those guys, because sometimes that guy that might start off on the punt return team 3 or 4 reps a game, then all of a sudden says, I am going to get to play. So he tries harder in practice. And sometimes those guys develop. You never know who's going to get, addicted to the weight room and their friends and really buy in. So we've been cautious about playing fast and playing fresh especially when it was the most dangerous game. I think we've looked at that a lot. And so, and then not having them out there all day long, not burning them out, and making it fun, and having them on Friday night be inspired. That's the only day that counts. So we learned a lot from the Russians. We learned a lot from the markerless motion capture and then the stuff Maury does. So,
man, I tell you, listening to you, you're not just a coach that says, okay, let's go get them, boys. It's not just motivational speeches. I remember I won 27 straight and didn't say a word. I lost 27 straight with another club. And those motivational speeches, man, just do not work. I don't care. Boys, we're okay. We're okay. I looked at some of your records, some of your big, when you've won big, you'd go 7-5 and still win the whole thing. You had some early losses. You weren't a 12-0 team or 15-0 team. And that was starting from the beginning to the end. Listening to you speak right here, it's interesting to know that you're all in, but each game it's not about winning every game. It is about winning. I get that. But there's a preparation for a long season as a coach.
Yep.
That doesn't happen too much. These young coaches today, Ed, you're 64 years old. Is that what you are?
Yeah, 65, close enough.
Okay. And talk to me about these young coaches today, man. What do you see? Is it like taking candy from a baby when you play against them? Or do you love it when you meet a coach for the first time, you're out there, your team's on one side, they're on the other. And I used to love talking to coaches before a game, the young guys. Yeah, coach, we got this.
We did one year beat a team that was way better than us, and I told the guy after the game I thought he ought to sell insurance.
Yeah,
because usually coaches are pretty good at that.
But you can pick information, can't you? Though you know this now, man. I'm an old man myself, and I can get more information from a conversation from a coach to say, and I can leave there. I won't really tell my assistants, but maybe I'll tell one of my assistants, hey man, we got this. If we just do what we got to do, because I know this guy's going to shoot us. He's going to show me everything he's got. He just told me everything he's got. He wants to impress Ed Croson, and he wants to tell you what he's got. This guy's going here, and yeah, this guy's going there. We're all of a sudden, yeah, he's got arm side run. He throws about 94 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, no, he doesn't. No, don't tell me what he does, but I know who we're facing, but they'll give you the information you need. Am I correct?
Yeah, we played Upland one year in the playoffs, and they had the top player in the country. University of Miami head coach was out there, and we were going to our team mass or mental reps before the game, and it was 5:30, and it
Yeah.
was 7:30 game, and they're in full pads on the field, running pat and go.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I ought to tell the guy that's a 7:30 game, but
Yeah.
I looked at his players and I said, I don't think he needs my help.
Right.
So I
Right.
didn't say anything. We ended up beating him in overtime,
Wow.
and it was at probably 10 o'clock at night. So, 4.5 hours into your workout, you don't have the same muscle glycogen, you don't have the same emotion, you're not as ready to play. So
Right.
I don't know if that answers.
Muscle what? What's it called? Muscle what?
Muscle glycogen, sugar in the muscles that you can use to make muscle
There
contraction.
you have it right there. I've never used muscle glycogen to my guy. I just want the guy to throw freaking strikes.
Liver glycogen, muscle glycogen, yeah, you have ways to store energy, ATP, all that.
Okay, see, there you go, doctor. If I can call you Dr. Croson now, that's what I'm saying. Hey, those one thing they write about, and I know you're big on this. You are a spiritual man. You're a God man, and you also though make sure these players team meals, team mass. What's the benefit of these team meals and team mass that you do?
Well, the meals are to help them learn how to eat so that they have a balanced blood sugar so that they can conduct all the hormones that happen in your endocrine system. So we have a certain meal so that they understand they got to be protein adequate, use low glycemic carbohydrates, and add monounsaturated fats back in. So that's for the meal. For the spirituality, I work at a Catholic school, but it's the spirituality is part of life, and I think you have to allow those kids to develop there as well.
Yes.
And we have Muslims and Jews pray together on our team, and it doesn't matter what religion you are. When we have team mass, our priests, they stand according to their faith. So if you're Jewish, you stand like this. He gives you a blessing in Hebrew.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're Christian, you get a Christian blessing. Catholic, you get
Yes.
communion. And so to me, we don't care what you are, we care how you behave and how you contribute to society. And for that, we think faith in God, is part of that.
Right on. Whatever that
Not
may
that
be.
we're proselytized, not that I, quote the Bible. I mean, I believe it and I try to live that way, but I'm not a.
Well, the Bible, and by the way, I taught religion. And Richie Lawson and I both taught religion at Chaminade. And the Bible is it's a baseball manual because the first three words in there are the four in the big inning. So it must be baseball. Genesis started it right there, and that I've always lived by that. Yeah, and I'll tell you, the greatest experience ever was sitting with Richie Lawson in our religious meetings, and I'm writing my baseball lineups out, and Rich is doing his football stuff, and we're talking about what we're going to be teaching these kids in freshman religion coming up, and then they'd say, we're all done. I say, yeah, all done. Good. It's good enough. And Rich and I go, Rich, what are we doing? And they'd say, I'll get the notes from someone else. I'll get the test from somebody else. I mean, it was beautiful. But the relationships that you have with the players, that I have with players, I got to tell you, man, my brother John, big Palos, he lives in Palos Verdes and big corporate insurance, making multi-millions of dollars. Blah, blah, we know these people. He said he would give all that up to have the experience I've had as a coach and the coaching experiences, like yourself, these stories, these stories.
And it's better than money. And the greater the initiation, the stronger the bond. And so football players, baseball players too, but athletes, but for sure football players have a tendency to stay stuck together in life. I have a fishing group that we fish 4 or 5 times a year out of Morro Bay, and it's 2 of our linebackers are fullback and our tight end from our high school team.
Wow.
I have a group that I'm going up to Kernville tomorrow. The guys I played with in college that we still fish and hang out, and so that's important. What was your original question though?
I don't remember. I was going to ask you about glycogen Mustaphas. I have no what the hell you're talking about, but no.
So these are the things that add value to life.
Yes,
is these relationships, and it's better than money. And big wins and exciting wins, adrenaline that's flowing and the emotion and the way you feel, that you can't buy that.
Right.
That you don't get that feeling when you jump in your brand new car. You get that feeling when you earn something together with a group, and the emotion of that, and just the spirit of that. And
but Ed, you know what hurts too, though, man, is being at home against Notre Dame High School when they bring their band, and we're going against them in the playoffs or the last game, and we want to call a 46 pitch or something behind Croson, and then Richie changes it up and goes behind somebody else. And why do we as coaches remember the losses in so much detail than we do the wins? Hey, bring it up. Great team that year. Great success. Won the state, won the city. However, I remember that night. I've coached 1 year of varsity football was that year. And I remember that loss, losing 14-10 because we went off tackle instead of and we thought, I think it was a first down. And they brought the chains out and they didn't give it to us, and the game was over. And I remember the details of losses more than I can sometimes the wins. It's a shame still.
The way we look at it is there's no such thing as success. There's just different degrees of failure. And so when you win, you're only even. You're not down.
Yeah.
I think things that drive competitive people, one of them is fear of failure. And it's almost like they'll do, and some people have a fear of success. When we get players like that, we try to, hey, it's okay to win.
Yes.
But I think a lot of coaches or competitive people in business too are just driven by, I can't fail.
Yeah. And Freddie Sanchez, we had Freddie Sanchez who played for me. He says what got him going was two things. Either there's two ways of success, like you just said, the fear of failure or wanting to win so bad. And prove everybody wrong. And the reason why he got to the big leagues was he just wanted to prove everybody wrong. He had no fear of failure. He just wanted to prove this guy that didn't draft him, this program that didn't keep him, and that was his motivation. And it's great. I just saw him last week in Arizona, coach against him. I've lost him twice now. We're two head coaches, and I gave Gabe Creshon's kid a hitting lesson. And as I'm sitting there, Gabe's watching his kids hitting, and I wanted to say, Gabe, you could never hit, and that's why your son can't. No, but this kid I was going to say, your kid's a much better hitter than you ever were, Gabe. You know that? Gabe is a big old boy, man. I got a chance to see Gabe playing arena football in Bakersfield one year when he was all done playing at UCLA. I mean, and I can't bring someone along with me. Like when I hear you say you're going to go to Kern River tomorrow, and I hear you talk about the players, and goddamn, I could cry. I can get emotional going, I know you can't wait to go there tomorrow. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah. It's
going to be a great day. Talk to parents for a second. Guy comes out at Notre Dame, plays football, baseball. And by the way, the kid from Chaminade, I forget the guy's name, got hurt. He's playing. Stanford won last night. They beat Texas State. They're down 3-1 in the bottom of the ninth at home. Leadoff guy hits a home run. Now it's 3-2. Next guy hits a home. Now it's 3-3. And Stanford walks off Texas State. Upset. I mean, not an upset, but you see the loss on these kids, these losses that I sit there and I'm with my girlfriend. He turns it off. I go, no, turn it back on. I want to see. I've seen the game so many times. I want to see the emotion part of this. I know when your season ends, we've been there. It's a rough go. As a 57-year-old, I can handle it much better. But these poor kids, man, they think it's the end of the gosh darn world, man, on a loss like this. And you got to tell them.
Yeah. Season is like a lifetime. And at the end, it's like death. Yeah. And so there is for me, there's like 2 or 3 days I'm walking around in circles because, of how, unless you win your last one, then you're walking around in circles, but you're on cloud nine.
You're showing up places you've never been to before. Why is that here? I was in the neighborhood. I just thought I'd stop by Notre Dame High School and see Kevin Rooney. I was going to stop by and see Den. I'm going to see all the guys. I know it. All of a sudden, I'm such a front runner. My brothers would say they don't hear from me during the season. If we win it all of a sudden I'm calling. Let's get some lunch. Let's get breakfast. Hey, what are you guys up to? Let's just go. Let's go talk about me. That's what's the thing with parents, though, man. So my point was, you get a football, baseball guy. We got guys come out, and the parents all of a sudden say, "Yeah, he's a football, baseball guy." They play freshman football, maybe JV. Then he gets to varsity, and most of these kids are choosing baseball, or the parents are thinking because of injuries. My kid, I see kids right now. I highly push them to play football. I played it in high school. Best experience I ever had was getting knocked over by Larry Luke. I was on the deep. Larry Luke comes down. I was God dang it, man. Kevin's first year, and you were out there or something, but I was playing safety. why you guys have me back there, the last line of defense, man. And all of a sudden the line opened and there were no linebackers. It was Larry and I. And Larry could have went around me. He could have went around me. That's how, but he decided to go through me. And I remember just getting hammered. He had a smile on his face. How can we let these parents know that, yeah, it's a sport. I don't want to say dangerous sport. How do you convince a parent, man, this is a good experience? And in every sport you can get hurt. But as a football coach, you fall into that a lot, the injury part of it, talking to parents.
Yeah, we try to get our guys play multiple sports too, because in adolescence, it's more important to be a competitor than it is necessarily a weightlifter. So we would rather have them compete. And I make the big guys throw the shot put just so they have to get in the ring by themselves and all eyes are on them, because they need to learn how to get over that and focus and win despite all the clutter in the world. So we want them to play multiple sports. What I tell parents, I'll give you a good example. Blake Rutherford.
Yeah, we remember Blake.
Football, and after his junior year, his mom thought he was going to get hurt, so pulled him out. Well, when it was time for the draft, 4 different Major League Baseball teams called me, wanted to know what he was like as a football player.
Wow.
We had what was his name? We had a pitcher that went to Oregon that was the offensive player of the year in our league. He told me, he says, in college, all the guys that played high school football are the leaders of the team. They're the tough guys. And the guys that only played baseball are the whiners and the babies that never make it.
Ouch.
And so I use those stories. I go, this is a developmental time in their life. Football gets more dangerous the older you get, as the people get bigger. It's still pretty safe in high school. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't pay attention to the training, if you don't pay attention to the time on their feet, coaches can wreck a kid. And right. and I get that, but we have a pretty good track record with injury prevention, so we try to give him those stories. I mean, it's going to make him a better baseball player. Kevin Pillar comes back, and when I was there, and would talk to the team, and he was a football player, and of course he's still playing, but he got hurt for the Dodgers the other day. But
yeah,
or I can't remember if it was Kevin or Sean, but I had a bunch of Pillars, and he would tell them, don't let these people talk you out of playing football when you're in high school. It's the only time you can do it, and it'll make you a better baseball player. And I think playing basketball or baseball or wrestling for sure, and track can make you a better football player.
Yeah.
So while they're young, at least for the first couple of years, we had to play 3 sports when I was a kid, and I hated wrestling, and I was terrible. My best friend was a big freaking giant guy, would lay on me all the time.
Yeah.
And, it would end up almost coming to blood.
I get it.
But I had to do it. I think I was 4-14 my sophomore year. I don't know how many lights are in every gym in Bakersfield, because I was on my back looking up at them.
I get that. Hey,
later I saw the value of the one-on-one competition and the just it's you or him, and the all out, you got to survive type thing. So I found value after, even though I complained. I mean, how many times did that happen to us in life? We went through a negative experience, and later we saw the value in it, and we were able to live with it a little bit.
God, you're spot on, man. I know I got to wrap this up in a second here, but I remember what I tell our hitters. They all take hitting lessons. They all got their personal hitting lessons. By the way, Rutherford hit Hunter Green, hit a ball off Hunter Green that's still going. I think it's now, it's in Memphis right now, the ball. He hit that thing so far. We go to the mound, and Hunter says, yeah, I want this guy. And he throws a fastball first pitch, and he hits it. And all due respect, Hunter's he just threw a great game last night. Yeah. 7 innings, one hitter.
Yeah. He worked with the performance lab, so Maury knows him.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, you need to talk to Maury. I want Maury on this thing, man.
There you go.
I would like Maury. I can learn. Maury's just going to tell me how it goes. And I would love to learn. I'll write the words down that I've written about 15 vocabulary words he sent today. I got to look them up now after today, because I have no idea. And I'm a diabetic. I should know about endocrine. I know about all that stuff, so I get it. But the one-on-one competition, we tell our hitters, they got all these. I see them on deck, and they're looking at their hands, and they're looking at their stride, and they're looking at. They don't know who's on the mound, whether he's a right-hander, left-hander, big guy, fat guy, skinny guy. I want my hitters. I tell each hitter, as you're walking, I want you to make eye contact with that pitcher somehow. You don't get in the box until there's eye contact made, because these kids now, you're competing. I think it's the best one-on-one competition ever, pitcher versus hitter. He's throwing a rock at you. You got a $400 weapon that you're going to try to do something. You're trying to embarrass him in front of his family, in front of his girlfriend, in front of his teammates. He's trying to do the same thing to you. He wants to strike you out. He wants to make you look. It's the best. But if you're going to go into a battle, why not make contact? Why not make eye contact? If Ed Croson and I are going to go
I
against,
like that. That's a great idea.
oh man, it all of a sudden you see kids walking in. Now, some kids, the younger kids, they got that little swag going on. Hang on. And the truth is, when he gets you out, then your mentality should be, okay, you got me. I'll see you in 8 hitters. I'll be right back. Stay there. I hope you don't come out of the game. I hope you're there when I come back around. So the mental side of this is with that, what I heard you say, that one-on-one competition. Make the eye contact. I'm going to kick your tail right now for this at bat. And then if it goes south, I come back around. That's that failure part you're talking about, man. And I think what you do as a coach, I've been there with you on the sidelines. I've been there with you. I know the frustration you had with other coaches as an AD and other programs. It's always fun coaching. I remember as an AD at Bakersfield Christian High School for 1 year. The biggest challenge I had were the cheerleaders, because I didn't know how to communicate with the cheerleaders. And my job was, hey man, just get it done, you guys. Quit. And here's a true story. I remember telling them, the girls, I want everybody in my office. I bring all 12 in here. They all come in with their stuff and their boxes. And I go to the gym, wherever. Said, first thing we're going to start doing, we're going to play as a team. We're going to cheer as a team. You got to quit bitching at each other. Well, that word bitching went to the parents, and it was, I said they're all bitches or stuff like that. And I would never say that. I got a daughter, 28, who I'm in love with. I got beautiful women in my life, my mother, everybody. But God, I just thought this constant battle amongst players, and there's got to have one guy like you to get in there and fix that, man.
Yeah, I don't do well with the feminine attitude, whatever package it's in, only because I don't understand it, because I don't have a lot of experience. My wife will tell you that.
Yes. And she has told me that. Right. Yeah, she has. Yeah, she has. Yeah. No, finally, man, what are you doing now, man? What is a guy at 64 that's had such a phenomenal career? I think it's timeless. I think the way you approach the game, and I'm willing to say this, Ed Croson, you are without a doubt one of my mentors in coaching for sure. You kind of insulted baseball a little bit in this podcast. I can handle that. However, the way that you come out to a field, I remember me and who was the other guy? His son went to Notre Dame. What's the guy's name? Who was my assistant? We were 2 coaches out there. All we did was throw the ball around during pregame. I forget the guy's name. Shoot, his son caught it, Chaminade. Damn it, he you know him. But the way your presence of coming out and communicating with players, what do you do today now? What's a guy at 65 going to do today? What do you got going on?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up, because I got into football in 1964 as a player, and it is not 1965. This has been a minute I've been in the game. Right now, I'm kind of in it still. I work with a adult league in Costa Rica. In fact, I went down there. They took me fishing. I caught a bunch of sailfish, bunch of tuna. Had a great time. And there's guys that were 40 years old. It was interesting. I do on Wednesdays. I do a Zoom clinic in Brazil. There's 169 leagues. The guy that runs it went to college in the Northeast. So he's a big New England Patriot fan, and he speaks good English. So I do, and I've worked, tackle circuit, leverage circuit, blocking circuit. Last week we worked on coverage reads. This week I'm looking at their film of one of their games, and then we're going to go over that. But this is on Wednesdays, and then they had it translated into Portuguese, and then they use it to train their coaches. So I got my Brazilian group. I got my Costa Rican guys. They won the Super Bowl. I got down there, and of course they paid for everything. And I felt bad because I had a great time, and I didn't really help them that much. I mean, I coached up their offensive line coach, but how good was that?
It's so great.
They had 3 balls. Each quarterback had a ball. I go, what do you do about your receivers? How do you do windows? What about your defense?
Right.
So I bought them a dozen balls. They ended up winning the Super Bowl, and so they gave me a little thing. And of course, they ran the pitch. We got the pitch put in. They ran the
46 pitch.
So I got a video of the pitch in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Last weekend I was in Atlanta speaking at a thing. I speak at parent groups. I'm going to do one for a soccer group down at St. John Bosco, and I talked to them about sports nutrition. I talked to them about the recruiting process, being recruitable or being understanding what your chances are, being realistic about your recruitment. And then I talked to him about parenting skills, or what I have witnessed
Yeah.
as successful parenting skills, as opposed to parenting skills that, that need to be supported, with the coach or whatever. So I've been spending time with parent groups, which I think is maybe a direction I'm heading in. So,
Yeah.
but right now I'm working with a couple groups out of the country, speaking at clinics here and there, and then
God damn, that's
working on
awesome.
the house, and I have a place in Ventura too I have to work on. So I'm a handyman,
Yes.
I'm a
Yes.
dog sitter.
Yeah, you're perfect, man. You're perfect. I mean it, man. We get a chance every time we pick up. There's times we don't talk, and then it could be 10 years later, all of a sudden just picked up right where you gave me my very first opportunity to coach.
You were awesome. The kids loved you. You were upbeat, positive, knowledgeable. I mean, we were sad to see you go, but at the same time, we were happy that you were progressing in your career, because that's where you needed to be. But yeah.
But it's a great story to tell people. So where'd you start? Started Chaminade High School. A guy named Ed Croson gave me an opportunity to go. We used to drive around the neighborhood and have lunch. We used to hang around, and that you never forget your first experience. And then for sure, the game hasn't changed that much. I mean, really, what's changed is the noise around the outside of it. And I call it noise. I tell these kids noise. That's the only nice thing I could say about the noise of the parenting. And God bless the parents. I know you love your kids, man. I know you love your kids. The best thing sometimes we can do is allow the process to take and go. If I have a problem with my heart, I'll go see a heart doctor. If I have a problem with my kid playing, if I have a problem in our religion, I'll see a priest. If I have a problem in coaching, I'll go talk to the coach, Ed Croson. I'll talk to him. I'm not going to create this because kids listen, man. The worst thing you can do.
I tell the parents, I'm not talking to you. It ain't about you. It's the kid's experience. So your job is to coach your kid how to advocate for himself. So when the parents want to meet with me, I tell them, if I meet with you and your kid, I'm your kid's coach. If I meet only with you, I'm your therapist. And I'll be your therapist, but it's $250 an hour, and it's cash, and it's up front. Okay, I had a lady one time say, Coach, I got my $250. Is that a tough?
Hey, I'll tell you, man, this is getting long. I remember my only time I ever had not the only time, my first experience with parents was at Chaminade. I didn't know. I'm a baseball guy, higher, optimistic, positive. Let's go. And I remember I'd see the parents sitting in the stands, these two parents, and they were always sitting there, best buddies. Then I'd go home that day and I'd get a phone call from one of the parents saying, why is my son, blah, blah, I want to talk about it. I get another call from his buddy saying the same thing, and they're talking crap about each other's kids, the other parents' kids. And I go,
like, that's going to make their kid better.
Yeah, okay, right.
But tracking down one guy is going to make the other guy better.
The best solution I had was every Friday, I finally sent an email out. Every Friday, I think email was around then, I'm not sure. I sent some sort of information out to parents. Every Friday, this is going to be at Chaminade. I want all the parents to come. We're going to have like a question answer every Friday after the week. And you can ask me anything you want, as honest as you want, why I'm not coaching well or why I did this about your kid, but I'm going to answer you extremely honestly you're going to get an answer in front of everybody as well. No one showed up. Not a parent showed up. They want to kind of work around the left and work around the right, man. Tough deal.
And honest, you were doing them a favor. And
that was it. Hey, man, Ed Croson, the legend. I got to say it, Coach. You are the 13 years at Chaminade, the 9 years but you're more than just a coach. I'll tell you, people, I hope you need to get your own podcast out there. You need to get your own, you really do. And I hope you ask me as a guest on there. I want to get Maury out there. Richie Lawson, I saw him at Bill Seward's funeral afterwards. And
I missed that.
Yeah, you did. There was nothing.
Skis, of course, nothing happened with skis.
Nothing happened. No, nothing happened. But it's nice to. Richie said, Coach, he listened to the podcast before, and he says, "Hey, you got to get me on there. I got some great stories." I say, Richie, I know about your stories, man. I don't know. That's a different podcast, man. That's a different podcast. But I will say that 46 pitch will go forever. I got to tattoo it on there. You guys ran that play over and over and over. And I remember telling the guy next to me, going, don't we have a hook and ladder or something in here? Giovanni Tone, Croson, Brandon Gray. I mean, Why? I can't remember. I can't remember where I left my wallet this morning, but I can remember that Chaminade football team way back when, man. Jason Zdenek, there's some
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. I still see those guys. Yeah, we tell people we're going to win first and make friends second. So if you're not our friend at the end, but we won, we met our goal.
That's right. That's right. That's perfect, man. Hey, Ed, thank you so much for this time, my friend. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, Danny. My wife says, hey.
Hey, Ed, tell her hello. I want Maury. If you can send me, look at that. Wow.
Come here, girl.
You have outkicked your coverage with her for the last, how long you been married? How long you two been married?
35 years.
And we need to talk. You and I need to talk.
He turned 65, and on that day, our anniversary was 35 years.
If I can say this,
I want to show them the dog.
I know, hold on.
if I could say this, you were my very first crush when I got into coaching. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was hoping for sure you were going to dump him. And then maybe look at that guy.
What a compliment. These are our grand puppies.
Okay. So I was an offensive lineman. And so to me, these are beautiful faces. I have a number of friends look just like this.
You know what? I got to tell you, and I can't believe I would expect you with a big old Saint Bernard or a big old. You got a couple of.
That's a lot of food and big poops.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's
This is
all.
a little bit of food, little tiny poops.
You have the most beautiful wife. I will tell you, man. Listen, that offer still comes out when you're done with this guy, because it may happen every day.
I keep telling her I think she could have done a lot better.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Hey, as a wife, real quick, what was it like what's it like being married to a guy who just coaches all the time?
Oh, he does a lot of other stuff, and it gives me space because when he was head coaching, it was 24/7.
Yeah, I know.
So now I have to adjust to him being around here more.
Yeah, man,
And
I'm
putting
sorry.
No, it's all good. He's
know.
got plenty to do. I just have to not let him bug me.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I say I married a girl that didn't like me, so she wouldn't be mad when I wasn't ever around.
Hey, you said that to me 30 years ago. He said that I married. Yeah, she don't like me, which is perfect because I'm never around anyhow. I remember that line.
Not liking him. I was just an independent female. I wasn't needy.
Yes.
And I could entertain myself and take care of myself at the same time. And so that's a, different.
Every day at practice, he would always say, first of all, I want everyone to know how much I love my wife. He said that right out of the box. All right. And then we broke into
You got
groups.
a health line just like you do for stealing, so you got to be careful there.
Hey, you two. It's
See,
so
I
good.
miss you, and I remember all the fun times and you on the field
Oh,
with
yeah.
Coach Lawson and Travis Hall and
Yeah.
Croson, and I mean that's when I got to sit with the moms in the
Yeah.
hay seats below the
Yes.
what do you call it, where the newscasters
I
sit.
saw that. Yeah. Underneath that.
And
I
then
get it.
after that,
How do you
I
not know
always
what that place
said-
is called? I can't believe you don't know what that thing's called. 35
okay,
years.
I forget, but fast forward all the rest of the games I would go to, I sat with our World War II guys when first it was Julie Lawson,
Yeah.
me, and the kids were down on the field.
Yeah.
But then after Lawson left, then I ended up sitting with our World War II guys away from the parents
Yeah.
because I couldn't handle their jibber jabber.
Right. I
And
bet
I
Richie
didn't
would have
let-
liked to sit next to those World War II guys sometimes
They
instead
were
of Julie.
great. They're great.
They are
But
great.
Meanwhile, I was always Michelle. I
Yeah.
was never Coach Croson's wife.
No.
because I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
want people to know who I was.
Safer that
What's
way.
What's amazing is Maury. I remember little Maury after a
Yeah.
Thursday night practice. We'd have those Thursday night practices,
Yeah.
and the kids would come out and run around. Richie's kids,
Yeah,
or you
Yeah.
guys, and
they grew up on the track. Yeah.
oh, it's awesome. Just
And
awesome.
They used to chase the eagle guy, the
The mascot.
the mascot, and throw dirt at it.
So
And
what?
then- And then after that, years after, they wouldn't allow kids down there because
There
it
you
was
go.
dangerous.
Because that's important.
Even coaches got ran over if they weren't paying attention.
Yeah, man.
But
Hey,
the-
I
the
want to
Lawson kids and my kids, our kids, they
No, you're all right.
all ran amok around there.
Hey, you get in there as a young age as me, and I get a chance to meet your husband at a young age. He was very kind to me. I knew him, he coached at Notre Dame High School,
Right.
but you get to, I get to see the relationship you guys have. You see a lot in coaching, man. This is getting long, I know, but you see a lot of divorces and a lot of people going left and right. it's
Right.
wonderful to see a beautiful married couple stay together for 35 years. Because I gotta imagine, Michelle, after that loss to Notre Dame, did you lose them ever, Brad? Did you ever lose to Notre Dame high school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But those losses, did he ever take the games home, Michelle? Did he ever take them home to you and go, and you had to say, just back off from the guy?
No,
No, he just came home as a good man.
no, he was disappointed but even when they won, he'd come home and say, we could have done better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you're always a jerk, then jerk is okay, and super jerk is only then.
Hey,
No, you just get used to it.
I will say this. I remember coming to your house one day and I had to pick something up. We were going to have some lunch and you had the video of the game we had just played already.
Yeah.
And now we had just gone over the video with the team. And then you're in the living room with the video of the game. And I'm like, my God, Ed, can we just talk about